The greatest tragedy of modern male life isn't the absence of women, it's the excessive attachment to the wrong ones. Behind the scenes of attraction, a silent war is raging. A war for attention, energy, time, validation, and psychological dominance. And men who don't see this become emotional statistics. They lose years, they lose their identity, and sometimes they lose everything, simply because they weren't taught to recognize the invisible codes of the game. What you're about to hear isn't hate, judgment, or bitterness. It's strategic lucidity. Because there are types of women who shouldn't be girlfriends. Not because they are bad or unworthy, but because their psychological structure operates like a slow poison. They aren't looking for partnership. They're looking for a stage, an audience, approval, or control. And if you don't have a filter, you'll just be another spectator of your own ruin. Worse than being rejected by the wrong woman is being accepted by her. Because at that moment, you enter a system, a cycle. She offers you dopamine in the first few days, then guilt, then pleasure, then doubt. She disappears, returns more intensely. And you, who thought you were in control, already have your self-esteem mortgaged. And the cruelest part? Nobody warned you. Society says that all love is worth it. A lie. Some cost much more than you can afford. That's why this video isn't just a warning. It's a rite of passage. You will understand, with surgical precision, the 5 profiles of women who seem charming, but operate with patterns that drain your energy, your focus, and your freedom. And no, we're not talking about cheap stereotypes. We're talking about deep psychological structures, shaped by culture, pain, vanity, or learned manipulation. The type of woman who may admire you but will never truly respect you. Who may even love you, but only as long as you feed the fantasy she herself created about you. And before anyone says, "Oh, but everyone has flaws," let's make one thing clear. There's a huge difference between human flaws and destructive behavioral patterns. Everyone has flaws. But not all of them trap you in an emotional web that will never return you whole. And it's about those flaws that we're going to talk about. First type of woman, the unconquerable muse, the illusion of rarity. She doesn't ask for attention, she attracts it. She doesn't beg for anything, and yet you find yourself chasing after her. She doesn't promise anything concrete, but delivers enough sparks to keep your limbic system ablaze. The unconquerable muse isn't necessarily the most beautiful woman in the room, but she's always the most mysterious. The one who seems out of your reach, the one who has something extra that you can't name. She is the illusion of rarity incarnate. A type of woman who makes you feel lucky just to be around and miserable when she disappears without explanation. The first trap is subtle. You don't feel rejected. On the contrary, it seems like an eternal flirtation. A dance where the steps never meet. She answers your messages, late, but she answers. She accepts invitations, then cancels. She compliments, but never delivers emotional reciprocity. Everything about her is designed to keep you intrigued, never satisfied. The more you pursue her, the more she validates her own worth. That's the key to the game. For her, your effort is the fuel. Your desire is the stage. And you, thinking you're conquering, are only feeding a spectacle where you were never the protagonist. This woman activates one of man's deepest instincts, the instinct for conquest. And when the male ego encounters a challenge, it falls in love not with the woman, but with the obstacle. That's where the danger lies. Because you start investing not in who she is, but in what she represents. An external validation that you are worthy, capable, victorious. And like any addiction, the further she distances herself, the more you want to prove you're enough. What was desire becomes obsession, and what was a game becomes a prison. This archetype is not new. It has appeared since the times of mythology. Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, didn't need to chase after anyone. She was venerated, adored, unattainable. And that's exactly the script that the unconquerable muse replicates. Unlike Aphrodite, who inspired love, this new version inspires confusion. And the more confused you become, the more power she feels. She's not necessarily evil. She doesn't consciously want to destroy you. In fact, in many cases, she doesn't even know the power she wields. But that doesn't change the impact. Because the absence of intention doesn't neutralize the emotional effect. And the effect is corrosive. The unconquerable muse teaches you, little by little, that affection needs to be earned. that you are only valuable when you are making an effort. And without realizing it, you begin to associate love with effort, affection with conquest, validation with sacrifice. This reprograms your mind and prepares you for a life where relationships only have value if they are painful, where tranquil love seems boring, where peace sounds like a lack of chemistry. And that's where she wins, because the damage is invisible. When she leaves, and she always does, you don't just feel longing, you feel withdrawal, not from her, but from the version of yourself you tried to be to win her over. And when that happens, you don't leave the relationship angry, you leave with doubt. Where did I go wrong? What if I had done things differently? You leave feeling like you lost a war you didn't even know you were fighting. And worse, you start looking for that same dynamic in other women. Because what seduces you isn't her, it's the challenge. Emotional scarcity becomes a fetish, and abundance, a bore. And here's the brutalist part. This woman only respects those who don't idolize her. She feeds on your adoration, but only bows before those who treat her as ordinary. She lives off male attention, but despises those who kneel. If you want to disarm her, it's not with flowers, it's with strategic indifference. When you refuse to play the game, she loses control. Because what she fears most is not being special. The solution? Brutal clarity. Stop romanticizing scarcity. Stop confusing coldness with charm. Stop associating challenge with connection. A woman who makes you feel inferior will never be your partner, only your capricious goddess. And you weren't born to live on your knees before a fantasy. You were born to walk alongside someone who sees you, chooses you, and respects you without games. Second type of woman, the professional victim. Drama as a tool of control. This woman doesn't scream, she sighs. She doesn't accuse, she only suggests she's hurt. She doesn't stop you from going out, but she makes it clear that if something happens to her, it will be because you abandoned her like everyone else. And in this carefully rehearsed theater, she always positions herself in the strongest role someone can occupy in a relationship, that of the wounded person who never recovers. It's an old script, and if you don't identify it early, you'll become a co-author of this play. The professional victim collects disasters and always has someone to blame. Nothing is her responsibility. Her parents were abusive, her friends betrayed her ex was narcissistic, her boss sabotaged her. You hear these stories and think, this woman needs someone to take care of her. The mistake starts there, because she doesn't want healing. She wants an audience. Psychology has already shown that the state of constant victimization creates a type of identity, that of the emotional martyr. In this identity, the person sees themselves as someone who is suffering. Therefore, any attempt at resolution sounds like betrayal. Try to help, and she'll say you don't understand. Suggest therapy, and she'll accuse you of wanting to get rid of her. Say you're tired, and she'll cry until you feel like a monster. Her pain isn't a cry for help, it's a chain. The cruelest contradiction? This woman can be sweet, affectionate, and seem grateful for your presence. But this affection is a silent contract. For every thank you for listening, there's a don't abandon me like the others. For every you're different, there's a you're mine now. And little by little you realize you're not in a relationship, you're in an endless rescue. A field where no matter how much you give, it will never be enough. And when you finally show frustration, when you get irritated, when you say you need space, when you dare to remind her that you also have problems, the inversion happens. Suddenly you're the villain, the cold one, the insensitive one. She starts listing everything she's done for you, all the time she smiled, even while suffering. And you, confused, begin to wonder, am I really being unfair? This is the professional victim's final move, to transform your doubt into submission. What she wants isn't balance, it's centrality. She needs the relationship to revolve around her pain. Robert Greene, in The Art of Seduction, talks about how vulnerability can be used as a tool of fascination. But here we're not talking about authentic vulnerability, but rather a performative, addictive vulnerability that doesn't seek connection, but dependence. The professional victim doesn't want to share the pain, she wants you to carry it. And the more you try to alleviate it, the heavier it becomes. Perhaps the most obvious and most ignored sign is the pattern of past relationships. She was always betrayed, deceived, used. But never, absolutely never, did she acknowledge her share of the choice or participation. And you, in the illusion of being the different one, think you'll heal her with love. But no love heals someone who is proud of their own wound. The professional victim doesn't want you to love her, she wants you to save her. And the more you try to save her, the more trapped you become. Because there is no possible salvation for someone who refuses to get out of the mud. And you, who were once a partner, become a father, therapist, nurse, and finally, a prisoner. Third type of woman, the Instagram queen, validated by the masses, empty inside. She shines even before she arrives. Not because she's luminous, but because she's learned to activate the right spotlights. Her face is always perfectly positioned at an angle that elongates her chin. Her makeup is impeccable. Even when she goes to the bakery, her stories are full of phrases about authenticity, while everything around her is carefully scripted. The Instagram queen isn't just a connected woman. She is both the product and producer of her own cult. A walking profile with thousands of followers, but without a real identity. And what seems like beauty is, in fact, a silent cry for validation. When you meet her, you feel like you've entered a different world. She speaks like an influencer, moves like a local celebrity, and seems to measure every word with the same filter she applies to her photos. She knows exactly what a man wants to hear, but not to create a connection. To increase reach, because in her mind, everything is engagement, even you. The trap is seductive. This woman seems high class. You see the followers, the likes, the events, the trips. You think, she's in high demand. And as Machiavelli taught, what is desired by many becomes more valuable. The mistake, confusing demand with depth. The queen of Instagram has a digital presence, but an emotional absence. She knows how to charm an audience, but has no idea how to sustain a bond. Because what she wants isn't love, it's relevance. Perhaps you think this is an exaggeration. Perhaps you'll say, but everyone uses social media these days. Yes, but there's a brutal difference between using and depending on. The queen of Instagram doesn't express herself online. She breathes there. Real life only has value if it's transformed into content. A dinner is worthwhile if it generates good photos. A trip is only amazing if it has Wi-Fi to show in real time. A gift is only special if it can be tagged with your @ And inevitably, you too will be pressured to perform. Not love, the image of a perfect couple. The queen of Instagram lives in a performance loop, and the cost of that is extremely high. Because behind the makeup, there's an exhausted woman who lives to be seen but never feels recognized, who collects likes but doesn't know what connection is. And this inner void, however much she denies it, demands constant nourishment, which puts you in a dangerous position. Either you become the provider of this validation, or you become the target of frustration when she doesn't receive it from the world. And when that happens, everything crumbles. The relationship becomes tense, competitive. She starts comparing, complaining, demanding. And you, tired, find yourself trying to prove that you are enough for someone who only feels complete in front of an illuminated screen. The irony? The more you try to please her, the less she sees you. Because she's not looking at you. You're looking at her reflection in someone else's eyes. The solution? Recognize the signs early. When she's more concerned with posing than with the moment. When a discussion is interrupted by a selfie. When you realize that us only exists when the camera is on. Don't argue. Don't try to change. Just understand, you're not with a woman. You're with a personal mark in human form. And if you're the type of man who seeks presence, depth, shared silence, this relationship will be an emotional desert, because her touch may be real, but her presence isn't. The kiss may be passionate, but her mind is elsewhere. The I love you may come from her lips, but she wants the audience to hear it. Fourth type of woman, the disguise controller. She takes care of you to dominate you. She arrives as a refuge. While others seem like a storm, she is calm, careful, attentive, predictable. She asks if you ate, if you slept well, if you drank water. She admires your ideas, validates your choices, praises your attitude. At first, you feel truly seen. For the first time, it seems like someone really cares. But beware, not all concern is love. Sometimes, it's just the Trojan horse of domination, and the disguise controller knows this better than anyone. Unlike the previous ones, she doesn't seduce with scarcity or drama. She seduces with zeal. Her touch is like cotton, but her intentions are iron. She doesn't hold you back, she molds you. And she does it smiling, offering help, suggesting changes for your own good. You enter this relationship thinking you're being cared for. And when you wake up, you're being led. The control begins imperceptibly. Don't you think your friend is kind of negative? Honey, why do you still follow that girl? You need to value yourself more. Change that shirt. None of these phrases sound like impositions. They sound like advice. But in practice, they are commands. And if you don't have the structure, you'll think that evolving means giving in, that growing means obeying, that maturing means fitting into her mold. On the surface, she seems perfect, affectionate, helpful, organized. The kind of woman who adds, as many like to say. But she doesn't add. She absorbs your time, your decisions, your freedom. She's the kind of partner who says she supports your dreams as long as they fit into her plans, who encourages your autonomy until the moment you exercise it without asking permission, who says she wants a strong man, but only if he's strong enough to follow her subtle leadership. The French philosopher Michel Foucault said that the most efficient power is that which is not imposed by force, but by care. And this woman is the embodiment of that thesis. She doesn't order you around. It simply creates an environment where the choice she wants seems to be the only sensible option. And so, little by little, you stop deciding. You stop questioning. You stop being. Her game is psychological. There are no fights, no shouting, only calculated silences, strategic gestures, and a constant presence that gradually takes over everything. She doesn't forbid you from going out with your friends, but calls right at the last minute. She doesn't stop you from pursuing your projects, but convinces you that it's better to postpone them a little. She doesn't say you're inadequate, but always has a suggestion on how you can be more you. And the biggest trap? You start to believe she's right. Because she's rational, eloquent, emotionally stable. You begin to internalize that your old self was immature. That your circle of friends was toxic. That your style was childish. You don't realize you're being reprogrammed. You only feel you're improving. But improving at the expense of your essence is self-sabotage disguised as evolution. This woman has a rare skill. She doesn't want to fight with you. She wants to beat you without you realizing it. She wants a strong man, as long as she's the foundation. And if you question the system, she plays her last card, elegant victimhood. I just wanted to help you. You're attacking me just because I want what's best for you. I never imagined you'd see me like this. And at that point, you apologize again. The fault isn't just hers, it's yours for not realizing it sooner. But how can something so caring be so toxic? The answer lies in the intention behind the attitude. True love empowers. This woman doesn't. She wants dependence. She wants constant gratitude. She wants to be the pillar you never had, only to demand it from you later. Because when she rebuilds you, she becomes the owner of the version she herself molded. The controlling woman in disguise won't break your life in a scandal. She'll break you in silence. She'll distance you from everything that makes you authentic. She'll mold you until you're useful, predictable, controllable. And then she'll say she loves you precisely for that. For being the man she always saw in you. Except that man isn't you. The way out is simple, but it requires courage. Radical emotional autonomy. Every time you feel you're asking permission to be yourself, something is wrong. Every time your social circle starts to shrink, while your relationship grows, something is wrong. Every time you feel suffocated, even when praised, something is wrong. True love doesn't diminish you to fit you in. It expands who you are. It welcomes, but doesn't dictate. It supports, but doesn't edit. And if the woman by your side is improving you at the cost of your freedom, that's not love. It's control disguised as care. Fifth type of woman. The chameleon narcissist. Everything you wanted until she broke you. She seems too perfect to be real. And perhaps that's your first clue. She emerges as an idealized reflection of what you've always sought. Funny, intelligent, beautiful, interested in your ideas, curious about your world. She listens attentively, praises you with surgical precision, seems to admire every nuance of you. In a short time, you find yourself saying, "I've never met anyone like this." What you haven't yet realized is that she isn't like that. She has become exactly what you needed, so that you would desire her with all your might. That's the specialty of the chameleon narcissist. She reads you. She scans your traumas, your ambitions, your insecurities, your needs, and she builds, like an emotional architect, the perfect woman to fill them. In the beginning, everything about her seems magical. She anticipates you, completes your sentences, shares common interests. It's as if you were soulmates separated by a universe that finally aligned. But the truth is much darker. She doesn't love you, she studies you. The philosopher René Girard wrote about mimetic desire, the idea that we desire not what is essential, but what is mirrored, imitated, reflected back to us. The chameleon narcissist masters this art. She doesn't win you over with who she is, but with who she transforms herself into to fit her ideal. And the more you believe you've found the woman of your life, the deeper you fall into her labyrinth. The first stage is the so-called love bombing. An avalanche of attention, affection, gifts, intense messages. She elevates you like no other has. She says you're different, that she's never connected so quickly, that what you have is rare. Your brain, flooded with dopamine, doesn't question, it just surrenders. And in this surrender, you begin to give in. You open up your routine, share fears, confess secrets. You let your guard down, and she registers everything. Because the second stage is subtle manipulation. She starts testing your limits. Small criticisms disguised as suggestions. Light comparisons like, my ex was good at this, but you have other qualities. Indirect comments about your choices, your friendships, your past. And you, wanting to maintain that intense connection from the beginning, start to adjust. You change small habits, correct your speech, avoid conflicts, and without realizing it, you start to disappear. While she molds you like a sculptor molds clay. The great perversity of this profile is that she doesn't break you all at once. She dismantles you little by little. Every compliment comes with an implicit demand. Every act of affection is conditional. Every crisis is turned against you. She knows how to twist everything. If you complain about something, she'll say you're exaggerating. If you distance yourself, she'll play the victim. If you try to assert yourself, she'll accuse you of being insensitive. And if you ask for clarity, she'll smile as if she knows something you don't. The chameleon narcissist doesn't fight to win, she fights to confuse. Her greatest power lies in distorting reality to the point where you doubt yourself. This has a name: gaslighting. A psychological manipulation technique where the victim is led to believe they are crazy. And this game is refined. You start apologizing for legitimate reactions. You start questioning your perception. And when you realize it, you no longer know if you are the guilty one or the hurt one. Her control isn't in the words, it's in your confusion. But why does this woman do this? Why so much effort to manipulate, seduce, drain, and discard? The answer is brutal. Because she doesn't have a true self. Pathological narcissism is a structure of inner emptiness. These women don't know who they are, so they become whatever is necessary to receive love, validation, control. And when that mask no longer works, they change it. And the next man thinks he's found paradise, without knowing he's entering a hell with velvet walls. The way out, once again, is strategic awareness. Pay attention to excesses. Nobody connects so quickly in a genuine way. Nobody praises you so much at the beginning without a hidden agenda. Nobody changes their mood so drastically by accident. Test her consistency. Say no and see how she reacts. Set boundaries. Maintain your individuality. An emotionally healthy woman respects space. The chameleon goes into crisis. Because without control, she loses her balance. And when you decide to leave, because that day will come, prepare yourself for the final phase. Emotional revenge. She may spread lies, try to destroy your reputation, or worse, play the victim to delegitimize your pain. But understand, this reaction isn't personal. It's the response of someone who has lost the mirror in which they projected their worth. True healing comes with inner reconstruction. Recovering your autonomy, your worldview, your connections. Learning to identify patterns before they repeat themselves. And understanding that love isn't made of intensity, it's made of truth. The chameleon narcissist offers you everything you want, so that you lose everything you have. And here's the next step. You need a strategic manual to operate in the new game of seduction. A game where attention is currency, where body language speaks louder than words, where the timing of your approach defines success or failure. And in this field, you either play with precision or you will be played. That's why if you've made it this far, the forbidden manual, How to Trigger Desire in 60 Seconds, is your next weapon. It's not just about attracting, but about recognizing, impacting, and mastering the first few seconds of any interaction with a woman. This audiobook was created for men who are ready to move out of reactive mode and take control. It's not about manipulation. It's about tactical clarity and emotional mastery. Knowing exactly what to say, how to behave, where to look, how to break unconscious resistance, and transform presence into magnetism. What you learn here is worth more than 1,000 ready-made phrases. It's the structure that differentiates ordinary men from inevitable men. If you want to stop chasing and finally become the man that memorable women respect, desire, and value, this is your turning point. Click the link below, access the complete audiobook, and start training your presence, your language, and your power of influence today. Because in the new field of seduction, those who don't dominate are dominated.